Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Jake at That Fit Friend, and today I'm going to be doing a first impressions of the TOLOS Archetype 1 minimalist shoes. So if you like nerding out on new shoes and small brands, hopefully you'll appreciate this video because I have a lot of thoughts on the Archetype 1. So I forget who initially tagged me in one of Tolos' Instagram posts, but somebody had done this a few months back. That got me looking deeper into Tolos and learning more about their brand, and I learned that they're based in Colorado. So I was able to link up with Evan the other day for coffee. That's how I got this pair of shoes. This is one of the prototype models. The first batch comes out in December. I believe they have 2,000 pairs coming out and they're on pre-sale now, but I basically got to learn more from Evan about this shoe, the direction of the brand, and his background. He's a retired hockey player. I also played hockey growing up, so I thought that was really cool. We kind of hit it off right away, and I kind of like shared in his vision for the brand and its trajectory. Being a small business myself, I really appreciated the attention to detail he's sinking into the Archetype 1 and the overall direction of where he wants to take this model line. So 4 first thoughts that I have with the Archetype 1 is number 1, I actually really like the appearance of this shoe. So I think what drew me initially to Tolos and the Archetype 1 was its overall appearance. It almost looks a little bit more like a traditional training shoe, but with a nice minimalist vibe to it. So the Primus Lite III from Vivobarefoot is probably my favorite minimalist shoe for both daily wear and training. And that is a vertical that the Archetype 1 is pretty quickly filling, to be quite honest. I like the boot construction a little bit better in the Archetype 1. It has a slightly beefier padding here. It feels a little bit more traditional in nature. It doesn't stretch so much to where it starts to get loose, so I like that it hugs the foot really well. I also like the lacing system in the Archetype 1. It doesn't have the same lacing issue that the Primus Lite III has, which is pretty much keeping these laces secure. That is always something that bothers me with the Primus Lite III. And in the Archetype 1, I actually wear it like this on a daily wear basis and a little bit more loose. And then when I train, or if I want a bit more security, I'll tighten them up, and you don't have any overlap of material and they stay tight. So I do like that about this model. Second first impression that I have with the shoe is that I like the toe box construction. So you get a nice amount of width in this model's toe box, but it doesn't have the same kind of like pointy appearance as the Primus Lite III. My issue with Vivobarefoot and some of their models is that the toe boxes can look a little bit pointed, like in the Primus Asana, for example, the toe box is a bit pointy. I like that in the Archetype 1, it's a little bit more rounded. My third first impression with the shoe is that I like the upper construction. So in the Primus Lite III, and I know I'm drawing a lot of comparisons to the Primus Lite III here, and I'm not trying to put this model down because it is my favorite minimalist shoe at the moment, but I want to give you a nice comparison because this is what I think the Archetype 1 is most similar to. So in the Primus Lite III, you have this mesh upper, and it looks a little bit more gymmy in nature. I like that you have this more clean, more casual appearance in the Archetype 1. It looks a little bit better with more casual wear outfits. So if you want a shoe for daily wear and then also wearing to the gym, I do think the Archetype 1 can fit that box pretty well. The fourth first impression that I have with the shoe is that in the gym, the performance of the shoe has been pretty dang solid, and that's for 2 key reasons. Number 1, the stack height of the shoe comes in at 5.5 millimeters. That is similar to Zero Shoes and Vivobarefoot shoes stack height. So if you like having a super minimalist feel with your minimalist shoes for training, whether that be for deadlifts, squats, leg days, etc., you should get a nice level of ground feedback in this model, and you get a nice level of articulation. So the sole moves really well with the foot. And speaking of stack height, the shoe does not come with an insole, so that is definitely something to keep in mind if you are brand new to minimalist shoes, is that if you invest in this shoe, you may want to wear them for shorter periods of time to really acclimate to the style of footwear, because you're not going to have as much cushion as some of the other minimalist shoes that do have a couple millimeter thick insoles that give you a little bit more cushion and foam. Another thing that I like about this model for training is its sole tread patterning. So with this model, its sole tread patterning is a little bit more aggressive than the Primus Lite III. And now this is an area of the construction of the shoe that Evan has mentioned that he wants to improve for future iterations, but I do like it right out of the box. It feels pretty durable. It's grippy enough for most training contexts. Now the only training context where I did notice this sole start to fall a little bit short was for heavier sled pushes on turf. I start to slid and then the lug would catch and then I would be able to drive through. And in the Primus Lite III, this has always been an issue, so I don't really think it's a huge knock on this model's performance, and it is very niche in nature, but I am super stoked to see how that gets improved in the future iterations of the Archetype 1. Another subtle thing that I do like about the Archetype 1 as well is that it has a price point of $115 USD. Compared to the $160 in Vivobarefoot, honestly, I feel like that's a really fair price for this model and its overall construction, especially because it can serve as a daily wear shoe and shoe for the gym. And I feel like I'm just also like numb to paying higher prices prices for Vivobarefoot that I was actually kind of shocked when Evan told me that they're only coming in at 115 USD. I plan to buy another pair in December because I do want to support the brand and I also want the darker colorway. But overall, I have been a fan of the TOLOS Archetype 1. I think Evan is onto something with this shoe, and I really like the attention to detail he's sinking into this model and how he's expressed that he's trying to improve future iterations. So it's not just going to be this iteration and done. He's trying to improve and level it up every single time, and that's why it's been super cool to be able to give him feedback on this model in the context of training and lifting. I do plan to have Evan back on the channel for a workout, and I want to do a founder chat because I would like to give you, the community, more information on TOLOS, and I think having a founder on to talk about that, like we have a Steven Sashin from Zero Shoes and Paul from GoRuck, I think that's always really cool, especially with small brands that are just getting started and going. But if you have additional questions on the TOLOS Archetype 1, drop a comment down below or reach out to me personally, whichever you prefer. And as always, guys, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. I will see you in the next one, and hopefully I can get Evan on the channel in the next couple of weeks.